Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Theater Talk. This Theater Talk is during the production of Kinky Boots at Proctor's Theater in downtown Schenectady. I'm your host, Jack Arnicke. We have an audience full of people who will be asking questions, and we have a number of people from the cast. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, and then we'll get right into questions. So, fire away.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Sam Zeller. I'm originally from Anaheim, California. You saw the show today, correct? Okay. I play the factory worker who, at the end of the show, is in the very short shorts. Well, thank you. My legs, thank you. It's very nice to be here in Schenectady. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Damien Brett. I play one of the factory workers that is known as Hooch on the stage, but you never actually hear that, so I'm Hooch. Hi. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, but now I consider myself a New Yorker. And this is my second time at the Proctors because I was also with the national tour of Billy Elliot when that was here not that long ago, so I'm really excited to be back.
Hello, my name is Craig Waletzko. I play George. Even so, we got the clipboard. And I grew up in Northern California, but I've been in New York 30 plus years, so I'm a New Yorker as well. And it's great to be in Schenectady.
Hi, my name's Amelia Cormack, and I play Trish, who's the one who's on Don's team in the boxing, who likes to fight. That's me. I'm originally from Sydney, Australia, but I've been living in the States. Oh, thank you. I've been living in the States for 20 months now. I've actually now officially lived on the road almost the same amount of time as I lived in New York before I left to do the show. So.
That applause, incidentally, was for Sydney, New York, which is just a little ways away from here.
All right.
And we have an addition.
All right, you're fine, I'll stand. Hi, sorry I'm a little bit late. My name's Steven. I'm the dance captain of the show you saw today, and I'm a swing in the ensemble.
Okay. And you're from where?
I'm from Okemos, Michigan, but I went to Syracuse.
Good. You have a chair. That way everyone is at a relative same level for the camera, and we're all set. Okay, we're open for questions. Anybody have a question? Let's start. Yes, ma'am. Was it hard for the gentleman to learn to walk in the high heels?
Stephen actually gave us some really good tips. He kind of let your hips go forward and overlap your steps a little bit. And as I practiced, I realized, oh, walk like a woman walks. And, I was surprised the first time I had them on. They were frightening and it was a bit of a struggle. And when they said, okay, you can take them off now, part of me said, oh, thank God. But I took them off and I was walking around in my bare feet and I felt, I don't know, less empowered. I realized, oh, for years I've been saying, why do you wear those things? Why do you? And I go, oh, because you kind of feel, you know, but you don't realize you take them off. And, oh.
I don't know how you ladies do it, to be honest with you. It's difficult. I have a size 15 shoe, so I have really big feet. So, and I always, the first thing I do when I get to the hotel is I look where the ice machine is because I soak my feet every night when I go home.
I do know how you ladies walk in your shoes. And I would like to say that we are actually cheating as well, because we're in the most comfortable shoes you could possibly imagine that are that high. They're custom made to our feet. You put your foot on a piece of paper and they draw it, and then they measure the circumference all the way up to your mid-thigh and take a whole bunch of other measurements. And every pair of shoes we wear in the show, with the exception of one number, are custom made. So they're several. You go through several fittings, and we have amazing people in New York who really know how to make shoes. So we're very, very lucky in that respect.
Honestly, the hardest time for me was actually just the first time we put them on because I'd never been in high heels before. And as I stood up, there were fortunately two people on either side of me because I started tilting forward because I really wasn't used to actually having. And then, of course, sometimes we'll do pictures and stuff when we're in costume and everything, and everybody wants a full cast photo and everything. And I'll stand in the back and I'll try to go up on my tiptoes, and I realize, oh, I'm on my tiptoes the entire time.
And when you wear them, your calves look so much better.
Oh, definitely.
Question. Yes, in the back.
What did you think of the show?
What did you think of the show?
You mean when we saw it or when we do it? Or
That's a good question. What do you think of Kinky Boots, Sam Zeller?
Oh, I love Kinky Boots. When I was asked to come to New York for the callback, I hadn't seen the show yet, and I'd seen the movie that it's based on, 2005. I don't know if you've seen it or not. It's a beautiful film. The producers were kind enough to get me a seat, and I was watching the show, and from the beginning, I just started crying. I just thought what a beautiful message it has, and I said, I gotta get in this show somehow, and thankfully, really, with everything that's going on in the news and stuff, to be able to go out there and say, we're raising you up, we're here for each other, we care about each other, that's what the message is all about. And to be able to do that every single day, it's truly a blessing.
We're also really lucky in that doing this show, we're taking this show to places that have never seen this show. And so every time we're in a new town, we're bringing our message to that place. And the response in places that I would never have expected has been phenomenal. Oh, you okay? Everyone all right? Oh, right. So, you know, for example, some of the most raucous responses we got were in North Carolina, were in Charlotte and Durham. And, you know, in Des Moines, Iowa, the audience had us in tears because halfway through the finale, before we'd even finished, they were on their feet yelling and screaming and clapping. And we were all crying because, you know, you don't think of Des Moines, Iowa as, you know, a place that, but they absolutely loved it. Same Providence. And you guys here in Schenectady as well. I mean, seriously, with some of the best audiences we've ever had. So thank you.
That's great to hear.
I was a part of this show on Broadway for a year before I came on the road. Now we've been on the road for almost a year as well. I've been a part of Kinky Boots for almost 2 years now. And as a swing, I get to be in the audience most cities and watch the show. I'm also the dance captain, so I'm watching for a reason, but I also get to watch the audience watch the show and see how they feel about it. And like Amelia said, we've been to many places, including Texas. And when we were in Dallas, Texas, the wonderful theater there, the Dallas Summer Musicals was our presenter. Yeah, they served us dinner between shows. They were lovely, lovely people. True Southern hospitality, right? So I'm watching the show, and I'm walking around the lobby during one of the scenes, and there's a man on a motorized scooter that comes flying out of the theater. And he drives right up to the presenter, who's a kind of a figure in the community there. And he said, "You should be ashamed of yourself." And he threw his program at him. And he kept driving, and he tore his ticket in half, and he threw it at 2 ushers. And by that time, I ran up to him because I was so curious. I'd never seen anyone react to our show this way. It's bound to happen, of course, but I said, "Excuse me, sir, but what was it you didn't care for?" And he said, "What I didn't care for? I'll tell you. I think men dressed as women is sick. It's absolutely disgusting. That's how I feel. That's what I don't care for." I said, "Okay." But what I took from that was not how disgusting our show is, it's how badly that state and that city needed our message. You know, and I'm so grateful that we got to go there. And the icing on the cake of that story is that man had to sit in the lobby for the rest of the show because his wife refused to leave.
That must have been an interesting discussion afterwards. Question, yes?
I admire dancers. What do you do to recuperate like muscle?
I pray.
She admires dancers, and what do you do to recuperate from a muscle strain or a pull? Yeah.
Well, all of us, no matter how athletic we do or don't look in the show, because there's all different body types in our show, which is one of the greatest things about it. We all take care of ourselves. Some more than others, but we all go to the gym on a regular basis. We all stretch diligently. We warm up our voices as well as our bodies for the show. And we have to take care of ourselves because we are a form of an athlete. Dancer or non-dancer, singers, all of us in the show, you know, we use our bodies very specifically. So we have to take care of them. It's our job.
And I guess you don't get sent down to Tacoma on the disabled list.
Yeah.
You know?
We also have the company provides physical therapy for us, so unfortunately we don't have someone that travels with our show, but we have the same company, isn't it, that has offices in each city. So today, for example, between shows, there's PT. So a lot of people have the opportunity for an appointment to go and kind of check up on whatever is going on with them. Ice is a good, what Sam said, a lot of people use a lot of ice, and but yeah, it's for the factory workers, it's way less strenuous for us, but we still all have our routines, and like Stephen said, stretching and warming up, and yeah.
I'm one of the older guys on the show, and I have to keep up with all these youngsters, you know? So that's why stretching, working out, ice, a full routine regimen is so important.
All right, question, yes. Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the path that took you from before acting and dancing to Kinky Boots?
All right, tell a little bit about the path that took you from before acting and dancing to Kinky Boots.
Well, each of us has a real different story in that one, because I think everybody got into the business at sort of different levels. By the time I was a young kid, I saw Singing in the Rain on TV when I was, I think, 8, and I said to my mom, "What is this?" I said, "It's musical. Look at that. I want to do that. That looks like they're having more fun than anything." So I did children's theater when I was a kid. I went to college for theater and started working. Well, not immediately. as happens, it takes a while, and even after you've been working for a while, then it still takes a while. But I was doing a show at a dinner theater in Westchester, New York, doing a production of Ragtime. Auditioned, got called back, and booked it, and was so excited and so proud. But for me personally, it was a hard decision about leaving. I've got wife and kids at home. So to go on the road for a year was a tough call, but they were also supportive. They loved the show. They're so proud of me. Oh God. But and I'm going home to see Sunday night. So.
I actually, when I was younger, I have this very specific memory of running around my house in a Batman cowl and cape, and just, you know, I was just having the time of my life. And my mom looks at me one day and says, "You know what? You seem a lot more comfortable expressing yourself when you're being somebody else instead of being yourself." And I think I was probably like 10 at the time or something like that. I was just like, yeah, I think so. And I remember, I'm from St. Louis, and I would go to the St. Louis Muni, which is a large outdoor amphitheater in Forest Park, and it seats like 11,000 people. And I saw some of my first shows. West Side Story was one of the first that I'd seen there. And I was just so enthralled by what was happening on stage. And even to this day, like the magic of what can actually fill a space, like sitting in this space right here, I am never unaware of the fact that all it takes is just like a drawing on a piece of paper and a couple people saying the right things at the right time to transform this empty open space into whatever world that you want it to be. And often before the show, every night, I kind of take a moment of silence to myself to realize just how amazingly magical all of this is. I was lucky enough to, when I was here with Billy Elliot, I was on that tour for about like 3 years, and when I saw this show on Broadway, I knew that, I mean, like, you know, you feel totally different and elated by the end of the show than you do at the beginning of the show. I mean, it just like takes you on this journey, which is fantastic, and it's unavoidable. And the fact that, well, there's a role for a big guy like me, I was just like, oh, that's perfect, I could do this. And I really thought that coming off of a big national tour like Billy Elliot, I'm like, oh, obviously I'm gonna get work again right away because I'm amazing, right? But thus is the plight of most acting careers, because I spent probably a year being unemployed in between that show and this show. And my wife, who's an actress also, was lovely enough to be holding down a day job for that entire year to allow me to go to dance classes and take voice lessons and audition. And I often hoped that I wasn't going to be unemployed for an entire year, but the fact that I waited, I had to go through all of that to have this, I think is totally worth it.
I did shows all through school, not professionally, but just with my school. I went to Sydney University for 4 years, where I majored in performance studies, which is very academic, not so much performing, but just did shows, drama society, did everything I could. It was just something that I was always going to do. I played instruments as well, so I knew that I wanted to perform somehow. And then I was coming to the end of my degree, and I'd heard about this place called WAPA, which is the Western Australian Academy of Performing Arts, which is where Hugh Jackman went. You're welcome. And I auditioned, got in on my first go, spent 3 years there, and then worked for a while in Australia. Turned 30 in 2010, had a major crisis. Was like, what am I doing with my life? And realized that if I wanted to achieve my dream of Broadway, that I would have to leave now, or else it wouldn't happen. So I spent 2 years in London, worked on the West End, toured there, and then while I was in London, got my green card. Was in New York for 6 months, auditioned for this, and then booked it. And something I'm very passionate about, and why I love being in this show is A, bringing that message, but also this idea of being whatever you want to be. I'm living proof. I'm older to be starting my Broadway journey in a way. I'm 30, I turned 35 in July. But if you want it badly enough, you can do it. And you can be, you can be whatever you want to be. You just have to want to be it enough. That's what I think.
I didn't have theater in high school, so I was one of those overachievers that was a varsity letterman in sports. I was class president all 4 years of high school. I wrote for the school newspaper, and I got hired as a reporter for the Orange County Register. Nobody wanted to go to the theater, so I said, I'll go to the theater, I don't care. I got a scholarship to college. I played minor league baseball with the Minnesota Twins organization. So I wanted to go,
You're so butch.
I know, right? Every little boy wants to be a professional baseball player, but for whatever reason, I met Kenneth Branagh at he has a theater company called the Renaissance Theater Company, and they were in town in Los Angeles doing a production of Midsummer Night's Dream, and I got to interview him. This was before he became, a household name. So I'm asking him all these questions, and at the time in college, while I was playing baseball, I'm taking acting classes because I was trying to well-round myself out and see what else I thought maybe I could be a part of. And he looks at me and he says, "Are you an actor?" And I said, "No, I'm not. I'm taking classes though right now." And he said, "Keep taking classes. You've got a good instinct." And I never thought anything of it. But then once the journalism kind of fell by the wayside, I started doing more and more theater. And thankfully, as I knock on wood, I've never had another job. I've always worked as an actor. So I don't want to look back either, but it gives me the freedom to travel and see the world. And it also gives me a chance to see friends and family all over the country that I don't get to see all the time. And then we get to talk to people like you guys who really appreciate what it is that we do. So
I'll try to keep mine short and sweet. I was just the gayest little child. My grandmother Carrasco, who she is not, what's the word? She is not a small woman. And I used to, it was one of my earliest memories, I would go there, I would go to morning kindergarten, then I'd go to my grandma's house. And she would be sitting in her lazy boy all day long watching her soaps. And I would go into her bedroom and get in her dresser, and she had these phenomenal lace nightgowns, right? And on me, at the age of 5, when I spun around, they would just balloon out. Oh, it was the greatest thing in the whole world. I thought I'd discovered, about diamonds. So from there, I grew up and I was theatrical and I started taking dance and, then I moved to New York and I worked on Broadway. You know what I mean? It was I'm so lucky, I'm so proud of what I've accomplished, but it was no surprise.
That's great. And I'm afraid our time is gone because we're between the matinee and the evening show. Do you have a little more time? Or?
If anyone, we can take a few more minutes.
Don't let them eat all the food. 2 more questions we'll do.
Tell them to save some
in the
food.
front there.
I was really blown away by that conveyor belt number. How you stay on that belt and it starts and stops at the right time. Have you ever had any issues where
Conveyor belt number that starts and stops at just the right times. Have you ever had any issues?
Who, do you want me to answer this?
Well, I can answer one
You
too.
answer.
Well, I mean, was it last week?
Yeah.
There was they have pins in them to keep them connected, but then they all have to be released. And then at one point we look down and we see that there's a pin in one of the treadmills and they all have to separate and move. So a couple people were pulling on it and like, what do we do? And I don't know, I got in that mode and I was like, get out of my way! And I pulled the pin out, but then the thing that connects them together was still there, and I pulled with everything that I had, and I fell backwards because the show has to go on, right? So,
With
but
like
yeah.
3 seconds to spare
Yeah.
before they had to come apart.
I mean,
I don't know what we would have done.
It happens though.
Right? Yeah.
We have a lovely phrase, we circulate around the stage as fast as possible if a treadmill is malfunctioning, and it's T down, T down, T down, T down. And then you look around, you see what's wrong, and it happens all the time. Like sometimes the belts themselves will stop running. They're all battery powered for the most part, so if they run out of charge for some reason, they'll stop. And the angels all have to enter sitting down, riding it on the treadmill, right? Well, if those treadmills aren't working, they just kind of, like strut out, just as best they can, trying to make a grand entrance, but it doesn't always work out.
Everyone's pretty aware though of what is going on, because especially when we've had some new cast members join us recently, and if they're going on for the first time and they may not have, Stephen rehearses them all and does a fantastic job, but anything can happen. So we're all very aware, especially in moments like that if a button isn't pressed and everyone covers each other. Like if someone sees that something's not going or that the brake isn't on, then we're very good at kind of, because you have to be. I mean, this is machinery that our little tiny with the mullet, God bless her, got her hands stuck one day before the show. She was fine, got a bit of a fright, but they're machinery and you can get seriously injured. Yeah. So, for the most part, everyone's very aware of what's going on and helping each other out. Yeah.
Okay, one more question. Whoever gets their 20 up here first gets to ask it. No, I'm only kidding. Yes.
Oh!
Did you recite the 6 steps?
Yes.
1.
Pursue the truth.
This works because this is mine. Learn something new.
Accept yourself and you'll accept others too.
Let love shine.
Let pride be your guide.
You change the world when you change your mind.
Great question and a great way to call this a day. A nice round of applause for our cast members who came here and for the show. Whoa, a standing ovation, your second one this afternoon. Thank you all very much for watching. Thank you all very much for your questions and have a very pleasant day. This is Theater Talk. I'm Jack Arnicke and take care.